Welcome back. Let's read a story that maybe would be a good thing to listen to right before a nap or a bedtime or anytime you felt like listening to a story.
Grumpy's not sleepy. That's funny, since there actually is a dwarf named Sleepy. That's like a play on words. I like that. Let's find out what this story says. Deep in the forest, inside a small cottage, Snow White and the seven dwarfs were finishing their supper. Now, everyone, put your dishes in the tub, Snow White instructed. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack went the dishes as one by one. The dwarfs placed them in the wooden washing tub. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, ka-choo! Bless you, Sneezy, Snow White said. That wasn't me, Sneezy said. Then who was it? Snow White asked. It was achoo! Me, achoo! Grumpy grumbled through a chorus of sneezes. Snow White put her hand on Grumpy's forehead. Oh dear, she said, you're quite warm. Up to bed with you right now. Snow White and the dwarves marched Grumpy upstairs and tucked him into bed. Get some sleep, Grumpy, she said. It will make you feel better. This is achoo! Ridiculous, Grumpy said. I am not sick. Achoo! Achoo! And I have things to do. Do you think that pipe organ is going to achoo clean itself? We'll clean it for you, Happy offered. The other dwarfs nodded agreement. You won't do it right, Grumpy said, trying to get out of bed. I'm sure they'll do a fine job, Snow White said. Now how about a nice song to help you sleep? Snow White tucked Grumpy back into bed and began to sing softly to him. Soon his eyes began to close. He was almost asleep when toot, 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 the loud sound came from downstairs. Grumpy's eyes flew open. My pipe organ, he shouted. I knew they'd mess it up. Snow White hurried downstairs. You're making too much noise, she told the dwarfs. But it's a pipe organ, Sleepy pointed out. We can't clean it without making any noise. I know, Doc said. We can pipe the stuff. Stuff the pipes. Now that's a swell idea, Happy agreed. Dopey, grab some socks. While Snow White went back up to check on Grumpy, Dopey picked up some socks from the laundry pile. The dwarves rolled them into balls and stuffed them into the organ pipes. Then Doc ran a rag over the keys. Pop, pop, pop. The rolled-up socks flew out of the organ pipes. Bang, bang, bang. The socks hit the hanging pots. Toot, toot, toot. The organ sang. I heard that, Grumpy yelled from upstairs. How do you expect me to sleep with all this racket? Achoo! Snow White went back downstairs to see the dwarves. Maybe cleaning the pipe organ can wait until after Grumpy's rested, she said. Why don't you each pick out a book to read? That's a nice, quiet thing to do. Now, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, Doc said. The dwarfs hurried to the bookshelf. I'd like to read the book about trees, Bashful said shyly. I want the story about the treasure. Achoo! Sneezy said, standing on his tiptoes to reach over Bashful. I'll take the book about birds, Happy said, reaching over Sneezy. Sleepy reached over Happy. I'd like that book of bedtime stories. Doc reached over Sleepy. Dopey and I will read the... Doc tripped and fell onto Sleepy, who crashed into Happy, who knocked over Sneezy and Bashful, who fell into the bookshelf. The books fell to the floor with a crash. I heard that, Grumpy yelled downstairs. Oh dear, Snow White said. Perhaps you should go outside so poor Grumpy can get some sleep. Snow White shooed the dwarves into the yard, then went upstairs to check on Grumpy. What do we do now? Happy asked. Maybe we could find a way to help Snow White, Bashful suggested. A fine idea, Doc said, looking around. These windows look like they could use some washing. The dwarves got to work. Dopey fetched water from the stream. Happy and Sleepy got the ladder. Bashful got some rags. Then Sneezy climbed the ladder holding the bucket and rags. All right there, Sneezy, Doc called up. Start scrubbing. Doc, Bashful said quietly, are you sure it's a good idea to send Sneezy up there? He'll be fine, Doc said. What could go wrong? Achoo! Sneezy let out a great big sneeze and fell off the ladder, right into Happy and Sleepy's waiting arms. The ladder crashed into the laundry line, and the clean laundry fell into the mud. The water bucket landed on a basket of potatoes, which spilled on the ground. As the dwarfs tried to get out of the way, they tripped over the potatoes. I heard that, Grumpy yelled from his bed. Snow White came outside. I suppose it's no use asking you to be quiet anymore, she said, but please clean up this mess. The dwarves nodded. While Snow White went in to take care of Grumpy, they got to work. They rewashed all the laundry and hung it out to dry. They picked up the potatoes, they fixed the ladder and the bucket. Soon they were all yawning. All this work is making me sleepy, Sleepy said. Me too, agreed Doc, Bashful, Happy, and Sneezy. Dopey nodded. I think you could all use a nice nap, Snow White said, walking outside again. The dwarves didn't argue. They marched upstairs and Snow White tucked them into their beds. Soon they were all snoring peacefully, even Grumpy.
Now, this cute story about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs does give us a very practical and good gold nugget. When my body needs it, I give my body rest. And you know what? If you're feeling a little under the weather, that's the time to crawl up in your bed and just give your body some extra sleep. So, can you put your hand over your heart and say it with me? When my body needs it, I give my body rest. That is a good idea. And you know what? Even if naps are not your favorite, they're so healthy for your body. And getting enough sleep at night is so important because it's getting enough sleep that gives you the energy for the next day to be wide awake and to be at your best all day long. So make sure that you're giving your body the rest that it needs. Thank you for joining me here today. I'll see you back here tomorrow. In between now and then, remember, you are seen, you are heard, and you matter.